Alright guys, welcome back to another recap. Small green today, $200 profit here, but I was up a lot more. You can see my P&L, I gave it back. And no, the thumbnail is not a clickbait. I did try shorting today, and I did get absolutely squeezed on a trade, so I'm going to go over that. Kind of a little bit funny coincidence, upset about it, but I'm going to go over that. Now, if you guys have been following for my channel for a while now, you guys know that I only trade long side, mostly because it's thinkorswim, so I can only trade to the long side, but this one was easy to borrow, and I've been debating for a long time if I want to open another account with another broker to short. But in the meantime, I was like, let me try to get some of these easy to borrows when they do come up and see if I can am able to short them. So I was up, I think at max I was up 700 on the day, but I think that might have been in the middle of a trade. I think realized I was probably up 500, 400. And I had called it at the end of the day at up $440, and I took that short. Now, it's a good thing I took it small share size. I'm not used to shorting these things. I'm a complete noob to shorting stocks, and so I tried shorting it. Small share size, you can see the smallest share size I've taken all day long, and I still took a $220 loss. So this recap is going to be good for you guys. I trade the long side. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm looking for. Even in the short side, being a long trader, you have to understand how shorts trade to be able to understand where squeezes might happen. But to be honest, I hadn't really executed a short trade probably ever on a penny stock like this or on a stock that's gapping up. I trade Tesla short or whatever, but not like this. And it's a different story when you actually try to take it. So you guys are going to see me take a look at this trade, why I was shorting it, when I should have cut it, where I maybe should have repositioned myself or anything like that. So I'm going to cover that one first, and I'm going to get to that one right now. Before I begin, again, like always, guys, I trade completely free every single morning. I have close to 200 people every single day watching me trade live, and we're all a team together. We all call out stocks, plays, opinions, all of that stuff. So if you guys definitely want to come join us trade live, I suggest you do so while it's still free. I don't know when I'm going to end up charging or if I end up charging for them, so you guys take advantage of it. Watch me trade live. You can see when I buy, when I sell, what levels I'm looking at, and all that stuff. Right here on YouTube, all you got to do is subscribe, hit that like button, and then that notification bell so you know exactly when I go live. Another thank you to Walker, again, with a donation today. Walker, you are awesome, man. Walker actually ended up jumping in on this short trade, but he was a little bit patient. He seems to be the short expert. He absolutely kills it with shorting, and so he shorted this one close to the very top and got a pretty good fade down. So I'll go over that. But thank you again, man, if you're watching this video. Appreciate that. So let's get to that trade. Enough rambling, right? So GFI is the short trade that I decided to take today, and I absolutely got crushed on. Now, this one is a gapper. My first thought when I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, this one, yesterday it went from $8 to $9. Today it went from $9 to $10, $10.50, $11. But if I zoom back, this thing was at $7 not too long ago. This thing, I looked at the daily, and this thing has been putting in a pretty good move, right? So it went all the way from lows of $7.29 to $12, almost doubled the stock price within 4 or 5 days. And so today I was like, yesterday had a very nice move, today had a very nice move, and I was like, but now if you look at the daily right here next to my face, that's the 200 moving average, simple moving average on the daily chart, right? That green line hovering right there. Now, this is what I meant by this is funny coincidence. I have no idea what to say. This just the market makers against me, right? I have not seen one stock hit the 200 moving average and go through it in the last months, weeks. All of these penny stocks. There's two that I remember exactly. I forgot the tickers, but there's two like last week, week before last, that literally the second they hit that 200 moving average, this thing rejected so fast and instantly faded the whole rest of the day. And so that's usually when I'm trading long, I'm looking, I got room to the 200. Once I'm at the 200, I got to be careful, right? I know shorts are going to be here. I know shorts are going to be waiting for that short entry up there. And that's exactly what I did. We popped up to the 200. That's exactly what this is. Maybe that was my mistake, and I'm actually just not realizing this for the first time. I wanted to short the 200, but I guess when I saw it here, I saw the stock somewhere in here. Like, this was the very first time I looked at the stock this morning. I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's the 200 moving average. I'm going to short here. And so I shorted. And to me, I was like, 500 shares, that's still a small size, right? 500 shares is relatively small. I don't think I trade 500 shares unless something's moving by dollars and it's like straight momentum, whippy action. Usually 1,500, 2,500, 5,000. I think one of the trades today I jumped in 75, 8,000 shares. So I punched the buy button, sell button. Sorry, I punched the sell button to short at that 200 moving average. And started grinding up. It looked pretty heavy at first. It looked pretty heavy, and then boom, it flushes. And I went from being red on the trade to being green on the trade here. And I was like, oh, I nailed this entry. This thing is about to just come down to VWAP, flush, maybe consolidate a little bit, flush. I don't know. Just get me into a winning trade where I can put a stop in place. But what I was saying, I don't think I realized this, and I'm just now realizing it for the first time. This was the second attempt to that 200 moving average. We had already tapped the 200 moving average, and maybe this is what I was looking for, right? That 1072, you can see it hit 1072 and instantly pulled back, and that's kind of what I was looking for. I guess I was looking for a double tap, but knowing that it was the second attempt on its way back up after this kind of nice push, I should have been a little bit more careful. Anyways, this thing breaks to 200. And I was just convinced, I'm shorting. This thing's going to come back down. No stock has gone over the 200 moving average. This thing's going to fade. I'm just going to average up. And then this thing is going to absolutely dump and flush and fade the rest of the day. And I'm going to have a ginormous winner with a very small share size, right? That didn't happen. This thing pops up a little bit. I was like, you know what? I maybe did get in a little too much. At this point, I was down like $30, $40, And I was like, you know what? Let me just average up as this thing squeezes a little bit, So pops up a little bit more. I average down. It seems like it wanted to be heavy. And then at that point, boom, it sticks this nice candle there. And I was like, okay. Let me just risk $11, right? Let me see if $11 is going to be the whole next number where shorts are going to come in here. And so it pops up to $11. I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is it. I add exactly at $10.99, so $11. I'm trying to add short, so I add there. And I want this thing to pull back down, kind of that 1072, right? So pull back down. And then at this point, I was like, it hits $11. And then I was like, frick, it just closed exactly at $11. And if I was long, which, I'm an expert at long, well, not expert, but that's all I do. My expertise is long trading. I was like, this is about to just squeeze to 11 and hit another 5-10 cents higher. And it surely does. It does that. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I have to cut it. I can't risk this. I'm absolutely getting squeezed here. So I got squeezed there once, here twice, three, kind of four nice green candles. And, at this point, I was like, I have to suck it up and know that I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm doing with shorting. This is something new, but it's still, I'm not going to bag hold this trade and see how high I can short it and then for the move back down. For all I know, this thing could have gone back up to 12 and kind of retest this area over here on my daily chart, kind of right here. So that $12. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to close this trade out, and if I still want to short it, I'm going to really be patient and wait for the right entry, right? This was a kind of a rushing entry, 200 moving average. It would have worked here. Great, but if it didn't work here, I should have stopped out of it right away. So I cut it out and, kind of did the right thing because this thing ended up going another 20 cents after I cut it out, so I would have been even further in the red. And then here, this should have been, honestly, this should have been my first entry. I probably would take that again if I saw a 200 moving average touch. Short it. If it doesn't work against me, cut it out. So this should have been a pretty break-even trade, a small red trade here. I could have gotten in there, maybe stopped out here, or maybe take some profits here, or stopped out back here again. So it should have been a red trade. Let's say down $20 with that share size. And then I should have waited. I should have waited for the shorts to really give you that trend line crack, right? So if I do this, I'm trying to draw it pretty accurately right there. If I do, no, that's not accurate. So this is what I had right there. So you can see this trend line touches there, kind of spikes under it, but that body candle closes there. 3 candle bodies there, and then this kind of 4th candle body there. So, there's a lot of lines, a lot of touches on that line. And this should have been my first entry. Here, I should have waited. This thing is squeezing. It's doing its thing, whatever. Let's wait till we crack that trend line and then maybe try to get that last push. I feel like this always happens. You could try to get that last push. But at that point, I think it's just a bull trap because buyers maybe are blindsided to that trend line and shorts are exactly waiting for that thing. So the second that thing pops up right away and doesn't make a new high the second time after that trend line crack, this thing can flush down pretty hard. And so it kind of breaks that trend line. And at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to jump in again, small share size. So I jumped in on the backside of that trend line just to see if we get that crack back down. And at this point, I had a target of $11, right? So if I was a long trader, I'd be looking for the dip to 11 and then push back up. Obviously, I was on the back side of this trend line, so I didn't feel like taking that anyways. But if I was trading this long, that's what I would be looking for. So I take this ad here and then pushes back up. And this, I mean, when this happened here, I was saying this thing can, sorry guys, this thing can come back up and retest that trend line from the backside, and then really confirm that this thing is now switching from the front end to the backside of this move. And so it breaks that trend line there. I get my first ad, pops up all the way up here, and no ads. You know, this green candle actually ripped pretty aggressively, so I think I just got scared. But this thing ripped up really high up here and then pulls down a little bit, and I was like, it's literally closing at that trend line. It's literally rejecting a high a day. It's literally rejecting the trend line. This should be a short play, like, you know, 100% of the times. Not 100%, you know. I mean, it just looked like a short to me, like clear as day. I didn't add. I hesitated through this whole move here to add short. I should have. And I think this is exactly where some people in my stream ended up coming in short here. They were shorting through here. Sorry, I got a weird text message. Through here, and then finally I get that crack. And I had a little bit of support here at 11, 12, and I knew that if we could break that support, this thing could end up flushing. So it ended up flushing. It pulls down to 11, which was my target. I cover perfectly there. You know, I cover at 11.01, and this thing dripped down to 10.98, so I missed the low tick by 3 cents. And then this thing pulls back up, and I was like, you know, if I was trading long and I get a nice leg in my favor and I get a flag, I'm trying to nail that flag dip to get the next leg rib. And that's exactly what I thought this was. You know, it pulls down to 11, except this is a bear flag. So this is the pull. It's inverted, right? It's backwards. So this is the pull, and then the flag's going to be like this, and then you're looking for that next leg down. And that's exactly what this did. So it makes the pull. It starts flagging, pulls back to that 11, 12. I was like, I should add more. I should add more. I should add more. But at this point, you know, I'm not confident with shorting. I'm not confident with just getting squeezed. I was already red on the day. I had a nice winner here to there, but, you know, this was probably like $10 because it was only 100 shares. 100 shares and 10 cents, that was like $10 profit, so I wasn't in. So if I would have gone in big share size here and gotten squeezed, I would have been in more red, you know. And so I was like, I can't add. I'm just gonna let this thing play out. And so it ends up working, you know. That flag ends up holding there, and then it ends up fading back down, fades down through 11. And at this point, you know, I was like, I'm just literally gonna hold 50 shares, which is half of that share size there, and I'm gonna put a stop under over 11 here. So we cracked under 11, and then this thing kept fading. I'm going to put it over 11, and I think I gave myself some room. I was like, I'm going to put it at 11.03, 11.04, something like that, in case this thing pops up to 11, 11.01, 11.02. Maybe it rejects back on down. And so this thing ended up fading. I think I saw it through here because I went and got breakfast. I came back. I saw it through here, and I was like, you know what? I might take some shares out, you know, take some profit. But I had 50 shares. This thing was literally moving like $4 from here to there was $4. From here to here was like $2. So I was like, you know, I'm going to be patient with this thing and see if I get a fade down all the way down to VWAP. You know, that would be another almost $1 a share with 50 shares. That's $50, you know. Here it's like, you know, that's only $5. So I left it there. I put my stop up here. This ended up going exactly like I thought, pushed over 11 a little bit, and then tucked back down. But it's actually reclaiming 11, so I really, you know, if I had to pick a bias on this stock, if it's reclaiming 11, I would not be surprised if this thing ends up putting in another leg closer to power hour or something like that. But I got squeezed, you know, I got squeezed. Hopefully you guys see that, you know, this is something that I don't usually do. Shorting is not something that I'm comfortable with. Shorting is not something that I do for a living. I make money on it. And so today, you know, I'm trying something new. I paid the price for it, but all I got to do is learn from this, right? And I think I had the right idea, you know, but I didn't execute it correct. I should have stopped out here. That was my first mistake. I should have stopped out here. I should have let this thing ran. I should have taken my first or second ad. So this should have been my first trade here and stopped out. My second trade should have been here, small ad, and then averaged in there or even here. Covered was perfect there. And then stop here was perfect. There's nothing I would have changed. Maybe I would have taken a little bit more profit here. If I had more shares, then I definitely would have locked in some more profit. But other than that, I think I played it perfect on the backside. And then I definitely should have added here at that 11-12 retest short. I definitely should have added there again for that retest back down to 11. So bear flag here. Definitely nice little bit of retest there of 11-12 and then push back down. So first trade break even, should have added, and then cover 11. Nice. Maybe cover 11 here again, cover there, and then stop above this if I got stopped out. So that was absolutely fine. But you know, I'm not used to this, so oh well. Now I am used to the long trades. I do make money long trading, and so let's talk about my winning trades. NRBO. So NRBO, I made $500 on this trade, and I think on this trade, let me see, why is it not showing my trades? There it is. So just a one trade on this one. This one actually looked pretty strong off the open. It was a gapper, but I wasn't really watching this one right away until it put in this leg here, and then it pulled back down. And I think I absolutely bottom ticked this candle. The low of this candle is 173, and I got a fill of 173, so I absolutely bottom ticked this. And I jumped in first, and then I added lower 25k shares there. 2,500 shares, sorry, not 25k. And then I got a very nice pop right away. Now this one, why was I looking at that? I think I was looking at this pivot here of the 169, and I was just trying to get in a little bit early. So I was looking to see if I get a 169 retest down here. But at this point, this thing had made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red candles down, and volume was absolutely decreasing on this thing. So at that point, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a starter, which is probably why I didn't take 5k shares in the first place. I usually take 5k shares and then add. But you know, that's a nice pull, that's a nice flag, volume decreasing, and I was looking at a 170 pivot. So if it got down to 170, I would have added more and then been comfortable in the straight to hold for the bounce back up. 184 was pre-market high, so we did have some rejection there, but I was looking for this thing to break that 184 and then potentially go up to $2, which unfortunately this one didn't do that. So I got a very nice trade here. I got a very nice opening. I started taking some shares out up here. My earliest sell looks like was 182, but 182 is right here, you know, right under 184, so that was a good fill. And then it looks like I sold some up higher, 184, 184, 84, 84, 84, 80, 82. And then I did keep, it looks like 1,000, 500, 500, so 2,000 shares for runners. I thought this thing would flag here and then put the next leg up to 2, but definitely if you see this, that's kind of a stuff, right? If you get a nice candle and 2 candles down, you want that next leg to start opening up again. And 4 green candles there in a row was not going, so unfortunately got stuff. I did make $500 on this one, and then after that I left it alone. This one, you know, it's hard to borrow. I couldn't short it, but this one I do remember calling out the short because this to me looked like a stuff. This to me looked like a major stuff, and then you got that trend line, right? So as soon as you get that trend line, you get that crack, you get that retest to that area or the key levels like 184, which is that pre-market high. This is where I would have shorted, and then would have caught a very nice fade, even down lower. Now this one did look like it turned back down, back up, and retraced all of that move, but you would have gotten a very nice move here through VY crack all the way down, even to these lows of 1.5. So that's about 30-40 cents there. Unfortunately, this one I couldn't short, and you know I'm not really looking to short all these. The other one just kind of happened to notice it. But there was another short, and I wanted to short this one, but I missed it. Now this one's also a long play, GRWG. This one I traded okay, but this one had so low volume. The volume on this one was so annoying. I mean, I was buying in this thing, and it was literally moving so slow. And so I took some trades. The daily on this one, I think I mentioned it yesterday. The daily on this one looked perfect. Like, there's nothing on this daily that I didn't like. You know, you had a resistance there at 443 from yesterday, and you were kind of hitting it yesterday and flagged over it a couple times. You know, 43, 43, ended up flushing, but then came right back 43. You know, and then this morning opens up at 43. That's the daily level, right? And so it starts pushing back up, and we had a high of 467 on this one from yesterday. So I started adding here, down here on this one, and it was so low that I took 2,500 shares, and it was just not moving. Like, this candle here has 50,000 shares. That's not a lot. If I would have taken 10k shares, maybe 5k shares, I literally would have been buying 20% of that candle myself. that's kind of scary, you know? That's kind of scary. And so I didn't. I jumped in smaller, took that trade there, got the high day, sold, fully out. Missed a lot of clean entries on this one. I don't know if it was the volume or I was just watching something else, but I missed a lot of clean entries. One right here, 467. That's a retest of 467. I should have been all over that. This one, I got that one right. 483 puts in a new high. Retest that high right there. Another good trade. I buy. Boom, opens up nicely. Make another nice winner there. Here again, $5. Whole numbers, or here is at $5. Resistance, breaks over it, support, flies again, just constant flags. Now, unfortunately, they weren't 5-minute flags, they're not really, some of these are flagging on the 5 minutes, some of them are not, but, just constant pivots left and right. Here's another one, there it is, resistance, breaks out of it, pulls back down, boom, support, next leg up. Eventually it got to the point where it was too high to extend it. They weren't working. Like if you were to look at this pivot here, you're like, okay, that's the time to buy flush. That's the time to buy flush. That's the time to buy flush. I get it. But you had already put in 1, 2, 3, 3 good little bit of pivot flags down here. Now the short on this one, same style as GFI, exactly same setup. You have a high, which is this right here. You have the high, and then you have an uptrend line on the day, right? Once you hit that high, once you hit that uptrend line on the day, once you crack that trend line, once you retest that trend line and make a lower high, don't get a high, and that's the place to add, right? So you break the trend line here, break that trend line there, you get the retest. This should have been the add. It's a lower high, break a trend line, retest, and this one was also easy to borrow, and I was in on GFI expecting something like this, and GFI doesn't do this, and this one did it. This thing went from 5.2. If I would have been able to short that all the way down to 4.6, that's 80 cents a share on that one. Obviously, I wouldn't have caught the whole thing, but I definitely could have caught it maybe down to VWAP, expecting a VWAP touch, and then after that, just absolutely flushed down. Look at the 5-minute on this one. So unfortunately, it didn't catch this one, but you can see the trend line high, breaks it, retest, short, entry. Right there you go. GFI, here it is. Oh, it's not gonna let me zoom in. Hold on. There it is. Trend line high, breaks it, retest, lower high, no high, fade. And this one just absolutely didn't do what the other one did. You still got a very nice move, but GRWG absolutely flush. A couple other trades, maybe not. KYLA. This one was very whippy this morning. I took some trades on this one. I think whippy and slippage was the reason why I ended up losing on the stock. Because I took some of these trades here, added, and it looks like I was getting the move in my favor. I stopped out. Red trade there, break even trade. I think I got out maybe slightly green. Tried it here at this bounce, pivots there. Tried it here, maybe green trade there, red trade. Oh, actually, this was one of these. I was down $60 out of it, and then tried it here again. This was a red to green move, so this thing flushed and then retraced all the way back up. So at this point, I thought this thing would definitely break 750 and go up for a new high of 787. So I tried buying the dip here, and this was definitely another terrible exit, slippage, whippy action. So I lost like 40, 50 bucks there. And so I lost $113 on that one, and then MACK. MACK, I had the right idea, poor execution, in too early. Just one little bit of a bounce. It wouldn't have made me rich. It wouldn't have made me a majority of the profit, but it definitely would have been a green trade and would have helped out. If I would have made 180 instead of losing 180 on this trade, I definitely would have been happy. So you kind of see now. The only problem with this one is it wasn't uptrending at all. It just kind of held sideways, so I thought maybe holding sideways this thing might actually end up uptrending. So it kind of held sideways, made a low, made a higher low, had this flat top resistance here at like at 1234, breaks out of it, touches downtrend. I thought maybe this thing could pull back, and then my thought was break out of this downtrend back up high. Break this downtrend, get on the other side, and maybe retest it from here, and then come back up. My pivot was 1234 off of that touch right there. And I wasn't getting it, it kind of flag, and I tried sniping a low here, maybe thinking it could just break out. Didn't happen. Pulls down to 1234. On the way down, I try adding at 1234, get a high fill of 1240. And then at this point, I'm like, if it just holds 1234, I'll stay in this trade. But this candle flushed down to VWAP almost, retraces, closes right at 1234. and then the next candle opened lower, and at that point I was like, oh frick, no, I'm just gonna cut the trade and get out of this trade right there. And so I cut it out there. I lose 180 bucks, and literally the next 30 seconds that next candle's forming, and this thing pops out of 1234 all the way up to 1264. So 30 cents there. Unfortunate. I should have been adding here. I should have been a little more patient. Added at 1234. Maybe this pickups right below it. These little bit of elastic flushes right below it, and then I would have gotten this move here. I would have taken some out, green trade, left some stop runners that would have gone stopped out with this flush here. But after that, I didn't look at this one anymore. But that was a trade there. So it's been an okay week for you guys that watch me trade live. I've mentioned it several times. Tomorrow I'm trading. Friday I'm not going to be trading. But 200 today, I was up 400 or 500, a little there. Yesterday, terrible day yesterday. Absolutely nothing. I made $80 burger money. Maybe somebody else said hibachi money. Maybe that's a nice dinner yesterday. Monday was good. Monday is the only reason why I'm up decently this week. Up 1,000 Monday, 80 yesterday, Wednesday 200. So I'm up 1.3 this week, I think, which is okay. It's not bad. Working 2 hours a day and then get to do whatever I want for the rest of the day. So I'll definitely take that. But some of the weeks, a couple weeks ago, I was averaging 3K, 3.4, or something like that. So not the best recently, but market hasn't been there either. But appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. I know I'm sitting at 25 minutes. That is a long recap, but I think today really shows you guys that I'm trying something out of my comfort zone. I tried it, didn't work, but I didn't quit. I came back. I took that second ad. And analyzing the trades is as if I'm a new beginner. What did I do wrong? What did I need to change? And hopefully that helps you guys, whether you're learning to short or whether you're playing the long side. Either way. So thank you guys for watching. Please leave a thumbs up if you like these recaps. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. And then I will see you guys tomorrow for live trading 15 minutes before market opens. You guys take care and have a good rest of your day.